Ambika, who had hoped for a healthy son who would grow into a wise and strong ruler, felt sorrowful thinking of her son Dhritarashtra, who was born blind. Despite her grief, over time, she accepted her son's fate and overcame her sorrow. Satyavati, the queen regent of the Kuru dynasty, maintained a composed exterior due to her sense of duty. However, internally, she was constantly tormented by the thought that she was responsible for the birth of heirs with defects. This inner turmoil was a constant battle for her. Despite Vidura being the son of a maid, Bhishma, Satyavati, and everyone in the kingdom respected him equally as they did the princes. In the capital of the Kuru kingdom, Hastinapura, under the guidance of Kripacharya, the son of Sharadvat, Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura, diligently completed their education. Bhishma provided them with skills and knowledge to prepare them for their future duties, teaching them archery, wrestling, various weaponry, and dual combat, along with war strategies and political responsibilities. The ministers and trainers decided that Pandu and Vidura should receive both political training and combat skills, while Dhritarashtra, due to his blindness, should focus only on political tactics, as it was deemed impossible for him to excel in martial arts. Pandu, with his natural agility, became renowned as an exceptional archer, capable of hitting even the fastest-moving targets. Bhishma was filled with pride upon witnessing Pandu's remarkable talent and dedication to archery. Hearing the attendants speak highly of Pandu's extraordinary prowess, Dhritarashtra felt a mixture of joy for his brother's success and sorrow for his own limitation. Dhritarashtra, who had always believed that Pandu and Vidura were no match for him in any aspect, now felt a sense of competition and inner turmoil upon seeing Pandu's growing prowess, with his blindness being a significant hindrance to mastering archery. The young princes who had previously been united now began to feel a shift. As Pandu started to rise as a hero in the kingdom, Dhritarashtra began to sense that the ministers and trainers were giving Pandu more respect than him. This growing sense of competition slowly turned into jealousy. Dhritarashtra realized that no matter how virtuous one is, the world never acknowledges someone without prowess as a true hero. This realization sparked a desire in him to prove his greatness. Furthermore, Dhritarashtra began to harbor feelings of disdain towards Vidura, who was excelling in skills he himself could not demonstrate. Unable to accept his own blindness, Dhritarashtra's thoughts began to seek ways to mask his deficiency. Consequently, he found some solace in the idea that no matter Vidura's achievements, he would always be seen as the son of a maidservant. However, the situation with Pandu was different. Despite being younger than Dhritarashtra, Pandu was highly regarded by the royal authorities, especially Bhishma. Determined not to let his blindness stand in the way of proving himself greater than Pandu, Dhritarashtra resolved to overcome this obstacle. While Dhritarashtra was lost in these thoughts, Bhishma noticed his distress and questioned him about it. Dhritarashtra, lamenting his inability to learn martial skills and engage in combat due to his blindness, revealed his anguish to Bhishma. Understanding his emotional turmoil, Bhishma decided to help. To enhance Dhritarashtra's abilities, Bhishma devised an extraordinary training method. During archery practice, he blindfolded the three young princes, teaching them to rely on their other senses rather than their sight, focusing on the unique skill of identifying targets based on sound. In the initial attempts, all three failed and were unable to identify the targets, leading to disappointment. However, Dhritarashtra did not let this discourage him. He refused to give up and tirelessly continued his efforts. Not wanting to miss the opportunity to prove that he was capable despite his blindness, Dhritarashtra found strength in this new equality created by blindfolding all three princes. He engaged in rigorous practice, staying behind to train even after Pandu and Vidur returned to the palace. His determination to surpass Pandu fueled his relentless practice day and night. Vyasa imparted a special technique to Dhritarashtra, teaching him to recognize his surroundings through a unique method. By making sounds with his mouth and concentrating his senses on the faintest variations in the echoes, Dhritarashtra learned to perceive his environment. He honed this skill diligently, allowing him to navigate the palace and its surroundings without any assistance. Through diligent practice with extraordinary concentration, Dhritarashtra eventually achieved his goal. He mastered the ability to accurately hit targets using only sound as a reference. With the skills taught by Vyasa, he was able to move freely and without hesitation within the palace and its surroundings. In addition to these skills, Dhritarashtra focused on his physical strength and emerged as a mighty wrestler. Among Kripacharya's students, he could easily defeat the most powerful wrestlers. No warrior, however strong, could break free from Dhritarashtra's grip. He earned the reputation of being as strong as 1,000 elephants. These exceptional skills further boosted his self-confidence. The once daunting and challenging combats had now become arenas where he was unbeatable. In a few days, the most skilled trainees, including the sons of soldiers and ministers who have undergone months of training under Kripacharya, will showcase their abilities in a grand assembly before thousands of people alongside the princes. Today's event serves as a preliminary test before the grand display of their martial skills in the Great Hall. Kripacharya brought Bhishma to the training camp to demonstrate the skills of his students. Even the princes, Dhritarashtra and Pandu, were among these students. Dhritarashtra easily defeated the strongest wrestlers, a feat that Bhishma and Kripacharya had anticipated due to their knowledge of his strength. They were particularly impressed by Dhritarashtra's ability to identify targets and shoot arrows based on sound alone. Bhishma and Kripacharya praised him for his extraordinary skills. Although many had attempted the technique of hitting targets while blindfolded, none had succeeded to the extent that Dhritarashtra had. Despite being blind, he displayed such remarkable talent that the other trainees were astonished. Feeling that his years of hard work had finally paid off, Dhritarashtra was filled with happiness and satisfaction. However, this joy did not last long. In the training camp, a young man with his eyes blindfolded rode swiftly on a horse, following the sound and shooting arrows. These arrows hit the targets with precision. As the students watched in amazement, the young man removed his blindfold and sat heroically on his horse. Dhritarashtra had identified and hit targets while standing still, following the sound. But Pandu, with his eyes blindfolded, rode swiftly on a horse and hit the targets. This remarkable display shifted the focus to Pandu. Those who were already astonished by Dhritarashtra's skills were now spellbound by Pandu's performance. Bhishma and Kripacharya, impressed by Pandu's extraordinary talent, showered him with praises. Even though Pandu was his brother, Dhritarashtra felt intense jealousy towards him at that moment. He felt that the skill he had achieved through tireless practice was effortlessly mastered by Pandu. The thought that his own abilities, which had just been praised, would now be overshadowed by Pandu's display, turned Dhritarashtra's jealousy into resentment. Although Bhishma had praised Dhritarashtra, he also praised Pandu, which instantly wiped away Dhritarashtra's happiness. Noticing Dhritarashtra's feelings, Pandu respectfully approached him and declared that Dhritarashtra, who had defeated the strongest wrestler and mastered archery despite his blindness, his brother, who was about to become a role model for many blind people, was the real winner. Bhishma was extremely pleased with Pandu's noble character, but Dhritarashtra felt that Pandu was deliberately highlighting his flaws and that his victory felt like a charity from Pandu. Unable to say anything in front of the teachers, Dhritarashtra remained silent. Despite months of hard work and finally achieving his goal, Dhritarashtra could not enjoy his victory because he kept comparing himself to Pandu, which robbed him of any joy.